chocolate, almonds, and the invisible architects of your gut. Your gut bacteria are basically throwing a party every time you eat chocolate. And depending on which chocolate you eat, you're either hiring a great DJ or accidentally inviting chaos into your intestines. So here's the real question. Could the snacks you're eating right now actually be rewriting your insides at a microscopic level? And if they are, does that mean you've been thinking about nutrition completely backwards? We've spent decades obsessing over calories, fat grams, and whether chocolate is good or evil. But here's what most of us never think about. Food doesn't just fuel your body. It feeds an entire civilization living inside you. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria. They're not invaders. They're more like roommates with their own preferences, their own moods, and their own ability to either help you thrive or make you miserable. Scientists have known for years that what you eat changes who lives down there, but the specifics have stayed fuzzy, until now. In 2026, a team of researchers from Louisiana State University, Florida State University, and Penn State decided to answer a deceptively simple question. What happens to your gut bacteria when you eat almonds, dark chocolate, and cocoa? Not whether they're healthy overall, not whether they help you lose weight, just do they actually reshape the microscopic ecosystem living in your intestines? What they found was specific, surprising, and worth paying attention to. Terence Riley and his team at Pennington Biomedical Research Center spent years designing and running this experiment. Rahul Nagpal from Florida State's Gut Biome Lab was analyzing the microbial data. Penny Chris Etherton from Penn State, one of the most respected nutrition researchers in America, was overseeing the whole thing. These aren't casual researchers. These are people who have spent their entire careers understanding how food and biology talk to each other, and what they were about to discover would matter more than you think. Here's what they did. They took 48 adults who were overweight or obese, and they ran them through a carefully controlled experiment. For 4 straight weeks, these people ate almonds. Then the researchers flushed everything out of their system. 2 weeks later, they did it again with a different food. Dark chocolate, then cocoa. Then all 3 combined. Between each phase, there was a washout period where people went back to their normal diet. Think of it like cycling through different radio stations and checking which songs your neighbors are humming after each change. The researchers collected stool samples throughout. They sequenced the DNA of the bacteria in those samples. They were mapping the entire microbial landscape with extreme precision. 48 people might sound small, but in microbiology research, that's actually a solid sample. And because it was a crossover study, meaning each person ate each food, the researchers could see personal variation. Not everyone's gut responded the same way. That matters. The results came back, and here's what actually happened. When people ate almonds, their gut diversity shot up. Diversity is what scientists measure when they want to know if your microbial community is healthy. Think of it like a forest. A forest with just one type of tree is fragile. It falls apart if a disease hits that one species. A forest with hundreds of species. That's resilient. That survives. Almonds increased that diversity by shifting which bacteria thrived. Specifically, they boosted bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids. Those are compounds your gut cells literally feed on. They're not optional. They're essential. Dark chocolate did something different. It boosted specific bacteria that are associated with anti-inflammatory responses. Your gut doesn't just digest food. It's also your immune system's closest advisor. When the right bacteria are present, they tell your immune cells to chill. When the wrong ones dominate, they send alarm signals constantly. Dark chocolate was basically installing peacekeepers. Cocoa alone? Less dramatic than dark chocolate, but still meaningful. Cocoa boosted some of the same bacteria, just not as intensely. But here's where it gets interesting. When people ate all 3 foods together, the effects didn't just add up. They compounded. The diversity went higher. The beneficial bacteria populations expanded more aggressively. It was synergy, not just addition. It was like inviting 3 musicians to play separately versus putting them in a room together to jam. Separately, they're good. Together, they're better. The effect sizes weren't enormous, but they were real and measurable. We're not talking about miraculous transformation. We're talking about detectable, meaningful shifts in microbial composition that persisted for at least 4 weeks. For people with obesity or metabolic problems, that's significant because it means these foods might not just be decent snacks. They might be actively working to build a healthier internal ecosystem. Now, let's be honest about limitations. 48 people eating in a controlled setting is not the same as millions of people eating normally in the real world. The study lasted 4 weeks. Did these changes stick for 4 months? 4 years? Nobody knows yet. And this study didn't measure whether microbial changes actually translated into health outcomes. It's possible that optimal microbial diversity matters less than we think. It's possible the changes are real, but tiny. Research isn't always a straight line from observation to application. The bigger picture, though, is wild. We've been thinking of food as fuel for hundreds of years. Then we started thinking of food as medicine. Now we're realizing food is an entire ecosystem manager. Every bite you take isn't just feeding you, it's feeding the trillions of organisms that keep you alive. And different foods literally hire different teams of bacteria to do different jobs. Some foods are like hiring a construction crew, some are like hiring diplomats, some make your gut a war zone. This study challenges an assumption that's been baked into nutrition science for decades. The idea that you can understand food's impact on your body by just measuring it as calories or macronutrients. You can't, because food doesn't affect just your cells. It affects the cells that outnumber yours 9-1. It affects your microbiome like a gardener affects a garden. You plant the right seeds, and the whole ecosystem transforms. The research raises one absolutely crucial question that science still hasn't fully answered. If we can change microbial composition with food, can we actually predict health outcomes from those changes? Because right now we know almonds and dark chocolate shift bacteria in ways that look good on paper. But do those shifts actually prevent disease? Do they actually make you healthier? Do they actually extend your life? Those are the experiments we need next. Here's what you need to know. The bacteria inside you are responding to what you eat in real time. Almonds, dark chocolate, and cocoa aren't just snacks. They're votes you're casting for which internal community you want to build, and you're making those votes 3 times a day. Turns out, scientists have been busy, and they're not done yet.